talk about it. Welcome to a special NXT Deadline portion of the episode of the show. Excuse me. I'm Mike, and as always, with me is Tori. Tori, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Great show. I definitely exceeded all my expectations. I unfortunately had to watch it on a replay. I couldn't watch it live. But a couple of things were spoiled with me before I got to it. Just because Twitter is a thing and they don't not post stuff on Twitter. But even watching it with knowing what happened, it didn't change my viewing at all. It was a good show altogether. So I think the first thing we need to talk about is the Iron Survivor itself. Leading up to the pay-per-view, it was very confusing concept. I didn't quite understand how that was going to go.
It was very convoluted. I didn't.
Yeah, but like we discussed, I think we discussed it in our last NXT wrap-up. Any of the stipulation matches that are out there really do sound convoluted if you just talk about them and don't see them. So
Right.
I figured it was just one of those, like, we just need to see it happen so we can visually see what you're talking about. And I love it. The only thing that I was kind of iffy about, and it's my ADHD, OCD brain, is 25 minutes. That seems weird. Like, just make it 30
I
and call it a
see.
day.
Well, I was going to say, to me, I think it should have gone a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in wrestling, though,
I
five
don't. I
five
don't think
minutes
it
is a
should have
lot
been an
longer.
hour long, but
No.
even 45 minutes, 25 does seem really odd.
Yeah, it's just
It's a
it's just
really
an odd
odd
number.
number. Why didn't we
Literally, it's
just
an
go
odd
the
number.
extra 5 and make it 30,
Yeah.
or make it 45?
Um, or we can make it like War Games, and like it doesn't start until everybody gets out there, and then it's a 25-minute match. I don't know.
Ooh. The 25-minute, we do 5-minute intervals to get them in there, but then the 25 starts once everybody's in the ring.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
You're basically making it a 45-minute match at that point.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was a good
It
concept
was.
regardless. I mean, it was definitely great to see it in there. So, rules for anybody who hasn't heard the rules already. 5 superstars will compete in a unique 25-minute match as they battle each other and the clock. 2 superstars start the match, and every 5 minutes a new superstar comes in the ring. The goal is to have the most falls when the clock hits 25 minutes. That's one of the reasons I love the match, is because it reminds me of the Scramble, and I love the Scramble. I always thought that was a great match. They should have used it more. Now they can't, because now it'll just be compared to this. But
Right.
falls can be won at any time via pinfall, submission, or disqualification. Um, for the fact that disqualification's in there, I kind of wish we would have used that at least once. Just
I
to,
don't like that it's in there, but that's
I,
just me.
I don't disagree. That's what I'm saying though. Like, if you're gonna put it in there,
Use it.
use it. But then, how does
Yeah.
it work? Does the person win that got, like, if you hit someone with a chair, does the one who got hit with the chair win the fall?
See, that's why I don't think it should be in there, because that, like, yes, you could stand there. You could. So start with the women. Say it was the women's match. Cora or Cora hits Roxanne with a chair. Roxanne gets the fall. Cora has to go to the penalty box, but until she's done wailing on her, she ain't going nowhere.
Well, but
So yeah, you may have lost that fall, but when you're out there with that 90 seconds and the penalty box is up, you're still going to be able to get back in the ring and pin them 6 or 7 times because you've been beating the hell out of them with a chair.
well, it depends. If they're the third person in the match, you're giving
Right,
away falls. Because you just
right.
gave her a fall by hitting her with a chair, and then you're giving away
I'm the
who was ever going
kind
to
that
pin her.
see. I'd have done it first thing: grab a kendo stick, just beat the
Beat the
shit out
hell.
of them. Take the minute and a half, come back. You're probably going to get at least one, maybe 2 falls.
It could bring up something fun later.
Yeah.
If you get 2 partners in a match like this, where everybody's tied, and then one of them hits each other with a chair to get that last fall.
Ooh, we're not going to institute the outlaw rule. I thought that was just a thing now.
Well, but if not a tag match though, like 2 members are in the same match, and one of them takes the hit for the other.
Okay, that yeah.
Like, you like say Xavier and Kofi
Go.
are in a match. He wants Kofi to get a shot at the title.
So Xavier takes the loss to give Kofi the okay.
Yeah, so Kofi gets hit with a chair, but Kofi gets a shot. So
That works. I like it.
Anyway,
And it could just be a love tap, but it's still a chair.
yeah. Well, and even just like I'm picturing the visual of Kofi like on his knees, hit me, and Xavier like not
And
wanting to do it.
Xavier like, no, I don't want to. And then the light bulb kick on. And he go, oh wait.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, hey, we could do that. Uh, when a superstar scores a fall, they will earn a point. The superstar that loses the fall goes into a penalty box for 90 seconds. They kept saying 90 seconds in the penalty box, but the minute and a half starts.
The second their feet hit the floor.
Yeah.
This is where my DQ thought comes in, because I'm going to drag somebody out of the floor. I'm going to beat the stuffing out of them. At 88 seconds, I'm going to step my ass in the penalty box for 2, come out, roll them in, and get my pinfalls.
That's not a bad idea. Once the 90 seconds are up, the superstar can re-enter the match. The superstar who has scored the most falls when the clock hits 25 will be named the Iron Survivor and become the #1 contender to the NXT Championship or NXT Women's Championship, respectively. So yeah, reading through that, it makes more sense now that I've seen it, but it definitely did sound a lot more convoluted. We started the night with the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge. Roxanne Perez versus Cora Jade versus Zoe Stark versus Kiana James versus Indy Hartwell. Roxanne Perez drew #1, Zoe Stark #2. These two women started off really well. It was a really good start to the match.
Very much so. I will be the first to say, I have not watched a ton of NXT.
Mm-hmm.
So this was really my first time seeing Zoe.
Yeah.
That girl
Zoe's going to be big.
Something else.
Yeah, she is going to be a certified star when she gets there. So Booker totally behind Perez because it's his girl. He's the one that trained
her, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. He came out of she came out of his school. So definitely kind of pushing for her at this. During this first stint, Booker's commentary cracked me up a few times because it made me remember of a bit he did in TNA where he acted as Black Snow doing commentary. If anybody has seen that video, you're welcome. If anybody hasn't seen that video, you're welcome. Go look it up. Black Snow commentary TNA. It's absolute genius. I was just waiting for him to go in there and stomp a hole into Zoe Stark and commentate that he's stomping a hole in Zoe Stark. Kiana James comes out next. Both women double team James. So both Perez and Zoe Stark going after Kiana. Just kind of start that off. Perez takes down both James and Starks, but Starks comes back and kicks Perez and then slams her down. Covers Perez and gets the first pin. So Starks gets the first win. And Perez goes to the penalty box. Corey Jade is out next. Runs the ring and tries to pin both Starks and James, but only gets 2 for each of those. Jade pins James, who is sent to the penalty box. Indy Hartwell is the final participant that comes out and cleans house. Looks really good out there. I will say, I like seeing Indy in the ring. I don't know if she was amped up. I don't know if it was adrenaline. I think she could have slowed down just a tick because she seemed like she was rushing a lot of stuff in there, which made it look a little sloppy. However, she hits that big boot on Perez and gets the pin on her. The big boot looked really good. The things leading up to that, I think, could have been cleaned up a little bit.
I think and I agree. I definitely think that the type of match calls for a little bit of ramping it up a little, but I think you're right. I think she was a little too much out of control.
Yeah, well, especially because the whole idea was she's supposed to go in there and she's laying everybody out. Take your time, let them feed to you, and I think that's almost what it was. It's like she was rushing into the feed rather than letting the feed come to her.
Yeah.
Starks gets back in the ring, takes out Hartwell and Jade, but Perez then rolls up Starks for the win. Starks goes to the penalty box. The crowd begins to chant NXT. Got a really big pop at this. It was good to see this point in the match just because the fans got behind it. The fans didn't seem really into it at the very beginning. Kind of accentuated by there was one lone guy that was chanting for Perez. Like, that's all you can hear. Let's go, Roxanne, really loudly from one guy makes it sound really sad.
Look, every show there's that one guy.
Yeah, he was
No,
trying.
I agree. I definitely felt like the fans weren't really into it until they were all five in there and they
Yeah,
started to really kind of. I felt like that once they all five got there, they started really to hit a rhythm.
yeah.
Once
Which
once Indy slowed down and got that first pin, then it seemed like the rhythm kind of really
exactly.
leveled out.
President Hartwell are now in the ring, and Starks is back in the ring out of the penalty box. Starks nails Jade with a flying forearm and then kicks Hartwell. Starks then follows up with a spinning head kick. Starks, on a roll, nails Jade with an elbow in the corner. Perez then comes out of nowhere and nails Starks. Perez leaps over the ropes onto Hartwell, who is on the outside. Jade takes out all the women on the outside, but except for Starks, who's still in the ring. Stark then leaps off the top rope herself to take out all the women. We don't. We've talked about. I don't want to go blow for blow with these anymore, but like that whole sequence was just
Yeah, no, that was
really good.
with these matches. They were so there were kind of lulls, but it was a steady. They
Yeah.
did a good. They had a good pace.
Yeah.
They kept action going, so you didn't really go. Okay, let's move on.
Yep. So then Perez and Jade are back in the ring. Perez hits Jade with a Canadian destroyer-like move and pins Jade, who is then sent to the penalty box. James and Starks are on the top rope. So you have, it was a really cool little scene. So you have Perez in the penalty box. She's waiting to get back out there because she needs to now get one up on everybody else because everybody's tied except for
Kiana James.
Kiana James, who has nothing.
She was literally in that match just to get thrown around. Like,
yep.
You could have found so many other better people that would have made that match way more interesting.
Yeah. It might feed into her story. There was a little like before the match bit with her, and I don't know who the guy was. I don't watch enough
Brooks
NXT.
Jensen, I think.
Yeah. It could feed into that of her being more humbled because I mean she
don't know.
didn't perform at all. But so they're on the top rope while she's out there waiting to get back in. James hit Starks with a Spanish fly, which was beautiful.
That was pretty. That was really pretty.
Jade gets out of the penalty box with about 30 seconds left to spare, drops Perez, but in the process of her dropping Perez then rolls out of the ring. And so all this time has run out. Roxanne Perez is declared the winner. I'm sorry, not everyone was tied. She was one up on everybody at that point.
Yeah, she got in a second one.
Yeah.
She snuck it in somewhere.
Yeah, and it literally was like everybody was outside of the ring, and she dropped him and got it real quick. That was actually the fall before the top rope spot. Perez nailed Jade with that Canadian destroyer type thing that I think Pop Rocks is what she calls it, or whatever.
No, the code red is her Pop Rocks.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then it was just a Canadian destroyer.
It was just a pretty Canadian destroyer.
Yeah. So at that point, Roxanne Perez. Great match.
I was a little surprised.
I'm not. They've been really behind. Just what I've been watching recently, they've been really behind Roxanne, of her kind of being the next to go. So I wasn't surprised.
I won't be surprised if she takes the title, so Mandy and Toxic Attraction can go.
Well,
they're not. There's no chance they're going to keep all three of those girls down there much longer.
No.
You've got a solid women's division.
Yeah, and I mean, they just started. We'll talk about that backstage later, but they just started a thing with them and Katana and the other one. I forget her name. K&K.
Caden Carr.
Yeah, which we'll talk about that down here. But they started a thing, so and maybe that'll be the blow off for them too to finally get away with it. Because if you have a three-way dance between three teams and Toxic Attraction loses, they don't really lose much because they don't have to take the pin. So that could be the blow off for them to get out of there too. I mean, I think definitely Cora or Zoe could have won the match, but then that puts a heel up against another heel. So Perez, I think was the good call for that one. We have a backstage segment with Tatum Paxley and Ivy Nile. This is actually what I was just talking about.
Yeah.
Set that up. So we have Mackenzie Mitchell backstage interviewing Ivy and Tatum. Nile is bummed that the Creed brothers can't wrestle tonight, as she was looking forward to them, but because of their health, they're having to cancel the match they were going to have. Kaden Carter and Katana Chance enter, and they just basically say, hey, we're sorry for what happened, but it kind of opens up a door for you, which is like a title shot. So I guess they're going to have a tag title match.
Interesting point to this. The Creed brothers not the one that's actually hurt.
Oh.
It's one of the members of Indashir.
Okay.
And they don't want them to. It's not a major injury, but they're about to go to India, and they want them healthy.
They don't want to take that chance.
So rather than take that chance, they just continue with the Creed brother is still hurt.
Yep.
Yeah, I read about that. I read that yesterday morning, I think, and I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're going to India. That they only have so many, and they're so. Any WWE or even AEW guys are so over in India.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter who it is.
I wonder when they're going to roll Gender back out. So I understand this is developmental, and by no means do I ever want to.
Do we not have an NXT thing for the top of this?
We do. I just saw that, and
gosh, slacker.
There we go. Bang. Thank you for calling me out on that. I appreciate it. We just finished recording the SmackDown one, so if you're watching this and saw that, that's why. So, growing pains. So
we don't have producers. This is low budget. It is what it is.
That's right. Two middle-aged people talking wrestling. We don't have the money for that. So I know this is developmental, and by no means do I ever want to crap on how green people are, because I get it that they're supposed to be doing this.
Right, that's the point.
But Jesus, it's like Ivy has never touched a mic. It was just
okay. Yeah, I was worried it was just me because I haven't watched it a lot.
No,
she's awful on a microphone.
Holy crap!
Roderick Strong should never let that girl near him. Not. Let me be clear. Roderick Strong is not a world beater on a microphone.
No.
But no, she was
a 12-year-old doing a presentation on science in front of the entire school reading cue cards. That's what this was. And it was just holy crap. Man. I have gotten more personality out of my dog. Oh.
If the Regal rumors are true and he is coming back to NXT,
oh my God,
he will benefit greatly.
Absolutely. He needs to latch onto him and not let go.
Follow him everywhere. Offer to get him coffee, whatever you can glean from this man that will help you with a microphone, you need to take.
Hug that man's leg like Road Dogg hugs the bottom turnbuckle, who is, by the way, a better sports entertainer than Bret Hart.
I'm going to need you to start changing up who he's a better sports entertainer than.
That's a good point. All right. So, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. I don't know why I just didn't care about this match. I didn't. The ending of this, Fire is on top and hits Dawn with a Swanton Bomb. As Fire attempts the pin, the referee starts spitting out black goo. Papa Shango's back, apparently, coming out of the mouth and nose. Several refs come out to check on the ref. Dawn hits Fire face first on the exposed turnbuckle, and then nails Fire with her finish to get the win. I mentioned to you off camera that I got whiplash from Booker T with the face heel bumping back and forth. So far, he's still kind of like face-ish, because we were complaining that the other refs were coming out there and checking on the ref, and he's like, that's what they should be doing. Look at him. He's spitting up black crap.
Right. This whole thing, I understand they had a giant feud in NXT UK, and it was a big thing there.
Yeah.
Nobody here cares.
Yeah, we really needed to build this back up. Like it
This match was trash. It wasn't good. This whole thing with the ref was stupid.
yeah.
Please never do this again.
Well, it's back to what I mentioned before, and again, take this with a grain of salt. You know, middle-aged man and his opinion on this. But I, I don't need the full-on spooky stuff anymore. This isn't the '90s. She's not the Undertaker. She's not Papa Shango. Like I don't need the full-on spooky stuff. You can give me hints of that without actually like somehow she has now put a curse on this man that he's spitting up black goo and she wins the match. I
My
don't need
problem
that.
with it, my problem with it was that it was just so random. There was no lead
Yeah,
up. There was no interaction. There was nothing to make this. Stop it. Stop
yeah.
it.
Well, and again, I haven't watched a lot of NXT. Maybe it's something that's been going on for a while. Maybe, but to me, so like we'll talk about the NXT title match later. But Apollo has a moment kind of like that where he's supposedly seeing into the future because he's omniscient like that. He visibly does something to let you know that something's happening. So he
You,
closed his eyes and then opened them like
okay. We'll cover that when we get
yeah,
to it because I noticed that moment and I was like, okay.
yeah. So to me though something similar here, like to see her visually do something to the ref, say something to the ref, lay on the floor and talk in tongues, something. Give me something that connects like this just happened, not just oh she's whooping this girl's ass and now all of a sudden he's spitting up black goo, and that distracts everybody. That no.
It was
Give
just dumb.
have her bring a stick out there that has smoke coming off of it and go ooh, I don't know something. Give me some Roxy Laveau stuff. I don't know something.
I just I needed more than what they gave me for that, and that
Yeah.
meant to me that
Well, it to me it goes back to like what we said about AEW, which again that's like why like I don't care what the brand is, we're gonna call out deficiencies if we see it,
yeah,
and both of them had the same deficiency sometime of well it's part of the same product so everybody's seen this. It's AEW and BTE. They assume everybody's watching Being the Elite, so if something starts there, they assume everybody knows it, so then they show it on TV, and
right.
everybody's just like, "Why are we fighting? What's going on?" That was this. Is yeah, they had a great feud, but it was NXT UK, which don't get me wrong, in my opinion at the time, was better than regular NXT. However, not a lot of people watched it. That's why it's not around anymore.
Right.
Um, on to happier things though. The New Day backstage segment. Love the New Day.
You could have these guys reading the dictionary, and I'm here for it.
Um, well, okay, so we'll they had a after bell uh little interview too after they won the titles, and it was magical. But
Okay.
we'll talk about that. Um, so they're back there with McKenzie and Mitchell, and the New Day are saying that they are always looking for the best competition, and they're talking up Pretty Deadly, talking about how like yeah they're silly looking, yeah they got the little crop tops, but they're dangerous. They're good at what they do. So talking them up a little bit, which is smart. You always want to talk up the competition because if you're like, hey, you're jabronis, and you end up losing to jabronis, then who looks like the jabroni now? So whether they were going to win or lose wouldn't have mattered. It's good that they talked them up as far as them being good. But upcoming the Triple Crown Tag Team Champions, and I love that we're still doing the hip swivel gimmick when we're talking about being the champions. And it also helps that like the names of these titles are 34 words long, so it's just a whole minute and a half of them hip swiveling.
The fact that they got McKenzie to do it, they were like, "You're not gonna do this.
Yep,
You're not gonna join in."
she did again later too. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, we'll talk about that after it. Let's drop the match real quick. So that leads straight into the match. Which actually, sorry, good little production note. I enjoy when interview segments sync up in the show, and it doesn't seem like something that was recorded separately. So at the end of that interview, Kofi goes, "And now hit my music," and then it hit, and they walked off, and then
Nice.
led right into their entrance.
It was a nice little thing. I
Yeah.
liked it.
So then we get the NXT Tag Team Championship match with Pretty Deadly, which is Elton Pierce and Kit Wilson defending against the New Day. This is where my whiplash started because for some reason Booker T hates New Day with a passion, and he made it known throughout this entire match. He did not care one bit. He says he is disgusted by the New Day, which is pretty much an exact quote of what he said. But New Day gets a huge ovation coming out. Obviously, they would. Pretty Deadly comes out and they get boos, which is great. So like they're obviously getting a reaction, which is always the number one thing. You want to get a reaction, not just silence. So them getting boos, chorus of boos when they come out was a good thing. The ending of this was really fun. It was the Eddie Guerrero gimmick, but done with all four people and done with a twist. So
That was so great.
Prince goes up and grabs the tag belts as both teams are trying to trick the ref. They're like throwing it back and forth and hitting the ground, leading with Kofi being the last one, and he's holding it, and so then he just throws it down and then lays down himself. Ref turns around, sees all four of them laying down, and goes, "Knock it off! I know this trick. Get up!" And they all just got to slowly get up, but he did, and then you get like the Spider-Man pointing moment of all of them pointing at each other. A nice little way to end it there, to have that moment in there.
I appreciated that. That was solid.
Yeah. So all that distraction though causes Woods to actually be nailed by the tag team belt, and Wilson covers him and only gets a 2 count, which surprised me. I mean, I figured like that's an end spot. So I was really surprised that Woods kicked out. They actually had me for a minute of thinking, all right, well, they're just here to get these guys over then. But so then he kicks out at 2, like last second. Kingston and Wilson are on the outside, and he hits Wilson with Trouble in Paradise. Woods and Kingston then nail Prince, who is now back in the ring, and they do Midnight Hour, which is Woods doing the backbreaker, Kingston doing the double foot stomp off the top, and cover Prince for the win. And New Day are our NXT World Heavyweight Champions.
Tag team champions.
Wow.
I am a big fan of this. I know when they got originally announced, Sean was like, "I hope they stay around for a bit."
I was going to bring up the exact same thing. The fact that interview segment got tweeted out, and him saying I'm trying to keep them around as long as I can. Yes.
I didn't think it meant they were going to win. I didn't immediately go, "Oh, well, they're going to win this."
No, but if you can keep them around for a while, and can you imagine if they stay in NXT until Big E comes back, and Big E comes back to NXT?
Put the title. Look, just them being there will make NXT bigger.
Absolutely.
And I don't say that as a knock on Apollo, on Dolph, on Mandy, on anyone else. But the fact is, the New Day is a different animal.
They are. And even, like, all credit to the New Day because they are legit my favorite act. We did new show on our shorts where we rank people called Who Better. We talked about
because I'll laugh at it.
We talk about factions, and like I didn't even think of that until just now. Like they are legit one of my favorite factions. Like I'd say,
right? I agree.
The top 5 easy, but
easy top 5.
But it's not even just them. It's anybody who's on the main roster that's at that level, you bring them down to NXT. Nothing against NXT. Or even the established talent that's there, the Mandys, the Apollos, even when Dolph came down, Dolph is a mainstream star, but he's not at that level. But
it's not the drawing power.
Yeah,
it's not the same thing.
If you had Drew McIntyre pop down there, people are going to be
it's going to make a difference.
Oh God, why is he here? It's going to make a massive dent, a massive difference in what's going on there.
I personally hope that with the Rumble, that some NXT people come up and they do eliminate some of these established stars.
Yeah.
Because then you have a reason for them to go down there.
Yep. Well, like, and we'll get into we'll get into the Grayson Waller of it all. But can you imagine like Grayson Waller tossing out an AJ Styles because of
Yeah.
some shenanigans, and then AJ goes down to NXT and goes, "Listen here, little punk." Like it'd be fun. Or for some reason, I kind of want to see him and Pat McAfee. I don't know why. Like
Grayson Waller and Pat McAfee?
yeah, for some reason, I think that'd be fun. I don't know why. It just seems like they mesh well in a feud.
That or they'd mesh well as a team.
I don't disagree with that either.
I think
Um,
that's one of those they would get along great or they'd hate each other.
mhm.
I don't see that being a middle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's definitely not a middle of the road team thing.
Yep. Um, so just real quick before we move on, yeah, there was an after the show segment with New Day, and I think it was McKenzie again, and just talking about how like they could read the phone book and it'd be entertaining. Um, Literally, Kofi is not Kofi, excuse me, Woods is quoting a movie, and I forget what he's quoting now, but he's basically quoting it word for word, and Kofi's in the background acting like his echo of it, and he's just like he'll say the line and then he'll go echo, 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 and then he'll repeat what he said, echo, 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 and like
I just
and they
the
just do that,
entertainment
and it's a 5 minute long thing.
the entertainment value with those two and Big E,
Yeah,
like their little, I don't know if it was a podcast or whatever that gave us the big meaty men slapping
yeah,
meat,
that was their podcast.
but that's
They were doing
that
this.
up down down. All
Yeah,
of the video stuff with him and Kofi that they have done for up down down is just it's always Kofi is an amazing. He's a sore winner and a sore loser, and it's
absolutely.
great every time.
So good.
So much talking junk and then losing and being such a poor sport about it is so funny to me.
Yeah. Immediately turn the sticks, man. They were sticky. I don't.
You're right. It's just controller's fault. You gave him the bad one, didn't
Yeah.
you?
Well, and AJ's the same way. Like if you've ever seen him, I love him too. He lost on Xbox, and he's
Miz
like,
is
I
the
play
same way
PlayStation.
too.
I don't play on Xbox. It's the same buttons, AJ. No, it's not. Um, we have a backstage segment, so this kind of loops back around Katana Chance and Caden Carter with Odyssey Jones, Idris Anofe, and Malik Blade. I hope I said those names correctly. So backstage we have Katana and Caden, and they're just walking through, and they catch Odyssey Jones and the other two, and they have just a little talk. Jones apparently has to face Von Wagner on Tuesday. So they were all talking about going out to party, and he's like, "No, I gotta go train. I gotta beat Von Wagner on Tuesday." So then Chance and Carter walk into Gigi and JC, lucky them, who claim the champions are avoiding them. And then Ivy Nile yells something, and then attacks them
I'm
with
assuming
Tatum.
there was some kind of previous interaction
Well,
that caused Ivy to respond this way.
well, I think it's I don't know if it was before this or if it was just because they were talking about how basically they were giving a title shot to two nobodies
Okay,
because she started talking some trash about the diamond mine and oh, is Ivy really part of the diamond mine? And I
gotcha.
think that's all it was. They were just trash talking them. But yeah, I mean, you had this like Mighty Mouse thing, and she like um,
She
Leroy
yelled. What she
Jenkins.
yelled was, "Here I come to save the day."
Yeah,
That's what she yelled.
well, it was just like a Leroy Jenkins moment of she was just like and then hit her. I don't know, but so they come down there and they beat Toxa Trash and down, and
She
they
homie
kind
the
of brawl
clown, but the
off.
homie don't play that.
Um, that leads us to the Men Iron Survivor Challenge with Carmelo Hayes, Grayson Waller, Joe Gacy, JD McDonough, and Axiom. Um, yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say the call to do this is the pre-main event versus the main event. I almost would have swapped the two, but
I wouldn't
that's
have
just
because
me.
NXT. See, I wouldn't have because NXT has always pushed the world title
Yeah,
as the it.
I don't disagree.
So the NXT title being I feel like it, regardless of what you're doing, if there's a world title match,
Yeah.
it should be the last thing there.
Well,
An
and
NXT title, whatever.
at the time I was thinking this. Now, once the match ended, the main event match, it makes sense why we did it this way. I get it. It's just one of those, like, it's like, to me, the Royal Rumble should always be the main event because that's what the show
Yeah,
is about.
to me, the Royal Rumble should be.
Yeah. And,
But in NXT, with NXT being what it is and the way they built the NXT title and how it's debelt there,
Mhm.
it should never be anything but the main event.
I don't disagree. What were you going to say?
This is the first time I had seen Joe Gacy in the ring.
Okay.
I was impressed.
Yes.
I'd seen the other four. I knew. I mean, I didn't know who Axiom was, and I hate to say, I still don't care. I'd seen Jordan Devlin. I'd seen Grayson Waller. Who was the other one?
Carmelo Hayes.
Carmelo Hayes. I'd seen him. That kid is crazy talented.
Yeah. And
so he is definitely going to do well on the main roster.
Trick Williams has been doing a lot of main event stuff.
Okay.
Without Carmelo, and that confuses me.
He's a big dude, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a big dude, and I'm confused though why Carmelo's not doing it with him, because that's another one that, like, he needs to get called up quick. You know, I just don't see it. I don't see why he's not part of it. Give me just a second.
You're good.
Time code 6. Hillary's asking if I can see the thing now.
Yeah, she posted it as a post. I replied to it, so it's on there. Tell her I'll message her later because I'm going to suggest I don't know when they're rehiring, when Coke starts hiring again, but they gave me all my equipment.
Okay.
So, I mean, it'd just be a matter of her coming up here for training.
Who?
For Becca.
Oh, for Becca. Okay. I was confused.
It'd just be a matter of working out the training part of it because they do that. They do it here in the office, which if I have any say so, that won't happen anymore because it's stupid.
Okay.
Okay,
let me tell her real quick. I'm recording with Tori right now, and she said to let you know that she'd message you later about the job for Becca.
Because that sucks what she's dealing with. So
yeah, absolutely. I haven't really gotten it. Like, she hasn't told me a lot about what's going on, but
it's I read through that thing, so it's yeah.
Okay, so
my ADHD multitasking is happening. So,
so in this match, JD McDonough drew first, and Axiom drew second. I'm with you on I don't really care about Axiom, and he gives me seasickness with that entrance. I don't the weird phasing thing.
I really thought it was me or my internet for a second. I'm like, what is fucking happening?
What is going on?
I hadn't seen that, and that's really stupid. First of all, and going back to Pretty Deadly, John Morrison called. He wants his entrance back. Fucking stop it.
I'm good with them borrowing from that.
No.
My issue with Axiom specifically is you're making it seem like he's faster than anything, and I get that. I get that's what you're trying to do. But if he's moving from here to here, and you're just adding an effect, I don't see that. Now, if somehow you can make it work where he's at the entrance, and then you do the little gimmick, and he's all of a sudden in the ring, okay. But him moving 2 feet with the little stutter thing on it, that's not making me think he's faster. That makes me think that you found something in After Effects and liked the little way it looked and put it on it. So with these two in the ring, it was a good back and forth between the two. It was a good way to start it. They had beef because JD's the one that took out Axiom with his little SDF. One scary moment, there was a suicide dive from Axiom, and he landed flat, freaking on his head. And I'm so glad he's okay. That was scary, the way he landed that. Carmelo comes out next and goes right after JD. As Hayes went for the 2-for-1, he gets caught with a double super kick, which was really nice.
That was a nice spot.
Yeah, nice little spot with there. Hayes does a flying kick on Axiom and then pins him. So then Axiom has to go to the penalty box. And Axiom has a
He
lot of
could have
weird
just
moments.
stayed there. Nobody would have cared.
Well, he also, like, he might end up being stayed there because of everything that's been happening to him here. So Axiom gets back in, kicks JD, and then attempts to kick Hayes, who catches the boot with his hands. Hayes gets wiped out by JD, who then takes out Axiom. So Grayson Waller then comes in and pins JD and Axiom both, which is a nice little spot. Like, both of them are out. He picks up the pin on them both real quick. They're both in the penalty box. Axiom and JD then begin to fight in the penalty box.
I wondered when it was going to happen and who it was going to be.
Yeah. And then slams the door. Axiom, slams the door on JD. Yeah,
Which
it
was pretty that whole little thing was pretty amusing.
Yeah. Well, and it's that, and there's a little spot later too. Like, it's like you said, like, that's gonna happen. Like, I know that's gonna happen. There's no way that you're gonna pit these two guys in that cage, and it's not gonna happen.
It's still going to be funny.
Yeah.
Well, and Jordan Devlin is a hell of a wrestler.
He
like,
is.
Just crazy good wrestler. So, pretty much anything you put him in, I'm good with it. Let's go.
Oh, well, and I was thinking a while back, you asked, like, why the name change and all that stuff. I started thinking about it, and when he first showed up in the UK tournament,
yeah,
there was a lot of online chatter about how he was basically just like a mini Finn. And so,
yeah,
because they trained together, they worked together.
Yeah.
Like, so I could see
it was something he was kind of. Didn't he end up having a match with Finn though?
he did, yeah. And so I wonder if, like, this new persona, the new name, is kind of a, like, let's wipe the slate clean. Let's see if we can get him over as himself.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe. I don't know. I'm so done with these name changes.
Mm-hmm.
And if they keep doing it, like if they bring them up to the main roster and change their names, I'm gonna stop it. We gave Matt his name back. We finally got rid of that stupid pinball sound with Ricochet.
I don't think we'll have the name changes. I am curious about gimmicks, though, because some of the gimmicks that are in NXT right now, I don't see working on the main roster.
Okay,
and so
this is definitely something we need to get into.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so as Waller is distracted by what's going on with JD and Axiom, he gets pinned by Axiom, and then Axiom pins JD as both Waller and JD go to the penalty box at that point. Joe Gacy is out next and is the final entrant, so now the real fun can start. Gacy and Hayes both kick Axiom in the face. Gacy takes out both Axiom and Hayes. Gacy has Axiom in a submission hold. Axiom taps and is sent to the penalty box. As Axiom goes to the box, Waller and JD double team him and toss him in the box. Axiom is just not having a good night. Hayes and Gacy are in the ring.
Look, he was there to eat the beating and take some pinfalls. That just...
Well,
the fact that they gave him one win, he should write somebody a Christmas card, bro.
Yeah. Hayes and Gacy are in the ring, and Gacy takes out Hayes with a lethal injection type move, and then pins him to send him to the penalty box. Then at that point, JD is kind of keeping Axiom in the penalty box. He's like blocking the door. So Axiom then climbs the penalty box, jumps off it, and takes out JD, Waller, and Gracie. Which, say what you want about the kid, that was a nice little spot.
It was.
You're not going to let me out? Okay, I'm going to climb out.
It was one of those things, though, and I'm looking at this penalty box going, somebody going to climb in this. Mm-hmm. It's like putting Shane in a cell. He's going to get on top at some point.
Hayes is out of the box now and back in the ring. He drops Waller for a pin, but only gets 2, and then puts Waller in a crossface, and then Waller taps. Gracie then drops Waller, and then tosses him into the penalty box as well. So Waller also getting kind of a little beat down on his way to the box. JD is in control and hits everyone with boots in the chest. This was a nice little moment because JD really got to shine, kind of hitting everybody, and then he just kind of has this moment where he seems exhausted. Everybody in all 4 corners gets up, looks at him, and then a 4-way super kick to the face.
4 big boots from everybody. Yeah, I saw that. And I'm like, they all stood up, and I'm like, oh, you catching hands.
Yeah, you're going to get beat down. Nice.
Well, and it's one of those, it's a spot like they do with somebody that's always talking junk all the way through. And they get out in the ring, and then everybody's around them. They're like, hold on a second, guys.
Wait a minute.
Let's talk about this.
Gracie then has Hayes in a submission and gets broken up by JD. Gracie gets JD into a submission, but it's also broken up. Gracie has Axiom in a submission as the clock's ticking down. JD tosses Hayes into the corner. The clock is ticking down even more. Hayes then drops on Axiom and goes for the pin, but Waller grabs Hayes, pulls him out, steals the pin, and then proceeds to run his ass off, trying to get away from everybody so he wins.
It wasn't just that. Somebody hit a move on somebody, and as they went to pin him, he pulled them out of the way.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, that may be the smartest thing I've seen anybody do in either of these matches.
Yeah. It's one of those things, like, he got a chorus of boos when this was done, but that is so smart.
And it's good storytelling.
Yeah. Like, you know, I'm not going to make the joke again, however, but like to link back, like, Road Dogg holding on to the bottom turnbuckle. Like, smart. Why?
Or somebody not getting in the ring for a rumble or sliding to the bottom and just standing outside going, y'all go ahead.
Yeah. Was it Sonya that did that with the women's rumble?
It was Sonya.
Like, she came down and went to commentary and sat in commentary.
Somebody was commentating and threw her in.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, things like that. Like, I always love, like, yeah, he's the heel and that's a heel move. But heel move. But yeah, you're one up on everybody. There's 10 seconds left in the match. Run your ass off.
Yeah. Make sure nobody else has a chance to get that pinfall. Run your tail off.
Yep. And so there was a split moment after he pinned Axiom, and like, I have that immediate knee-jerk reaction of, well, someone needs to hit Waller then and then pin Axiom because he's out.
Right.
But with the hitch of he's now got to go to the penalty box, you can't pin that guy now.
Like I said, it's one of those things. I was kind of with you. The disqualification thing doesn't make any sense if you're not going to use it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's no saying that we won't in the future, or maybe we take it out in the future. Because having that with weapons would also be kind of fun.
Right.
We have a backstage segment with Drew Gulak. He's back in NXT. What was the point
of that? I didn't catch all of that.
He showed up in the last episode of NXT.
Okay.
And that's it. Like, he showed up there, and everybody's like, why is he here? And so now he's explaining why he's there. So he's back there with McKenzie, who he then says that he's there basically just to help out talent, and that he wants to get back to his full potential because he feels like on the main roster he has not been able to live up to his full potential.
Because you're Bret Hart.
I think he's a better sports entertainer than Bret Hart.
But is he better sports entertainer than the Road? See, this is going to carry on for episodes now. See what you've done.
Damon Kemp then comes out and tells Gulak he needs to watch his match on Tuesday because then he'll really show him what he's worth. So we've obviously already started our first rivalry with Gulak. I really like Gulak.
I do too. I don't dislike that. I was just like, why is... Yeah. First of all, I didn't even know you still worked for the company.
Yeah. It's weird that someone who I think has such good comedic chops, because him with his no-fly zone stuff and all of that, and it looks like we're just going to put him back to hard-nosed wrestler, and it makes me care less.
I enjoyed the whole you can't no top row, like that whole
no-fly
thing.
Zone. Yeah.
Right, was fun. But at the same time, I would like to see a good mixture of the two. I definitely feel like the no-fly zone was funny and interesting, but I need more than that. But I don't need you turning into Lance Storm.
Yeah, I don't disagree. So like I akin it to Alpha Academy. Them being a comedy gimmick is fine with me. However, they also have the ability when push comes to shove and they need to be that badass wrestling team, they can do that too. And so I would rather him come out there and be comedic Drew Gulak, and then just the moment arises where someone pushes that button and he goes, "Look, I may be a joke around here, but I'll still whoop your ass."
I would actually kind of like I'm comedy, I'm having a good match, and then somebody slaps him,
Yeah,
and you see that switch flip, and he goes, "Oh, okay."
yeah, that definitely could be fun. And I'll always give it a shot. Like I'm always one of those that
Right.
like this is the start of something, so let's see where it goes. But as it stands right now, I don't know that I'll care because it looks like he's just back to being a wrestler. Um,
I the part of the thing is I don't really care about Damon Kemp. You broke up Diamond Mine. Good for you.
yeah, mm,
They were a knockoff Undisputed Era anyway, so I don't care.
you're giving it a lot of credit, even being that. Um,
I, they're the Wish version.
I, I, I don't know. I think they're like the. Never mind. Not gonna get canceled. We have NXT Championship match. Braun Breaker against Apollo Crews. Um,
The build up for to me, the build up for this match was better than the match.
I don't disagree. Definitely, like they did the package before the match, and the package makes it look like it's really going to be good. Not that
I
it wasn't
felt
a
like
good match, but it was.
it was lackluster.
Yeah.
There was the moment we were talking about with Apollo,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, I like to see that whole the switch flips, but I'm not gonna go overboard crazy.
Yeah. Um. So it seems like the entire match was just a bunch of like one-upsmanship. They started off with a lockup, test of strength, and just kind of going hold for hold. Like one does a thing, then the other does another thing, and then back and forth. Um, both men to end the match. Both men get up and exchange blows after Breaker shouts at Cruz to hit him, which was kind of a nice little thing. So they're both on the ground. They're both hitting each
Right.
other, and he goes,